Hi people, it's the early hours of the morning, so I'm not going to make my voice too loud. There's a lot going on in the world right now, a lot going on in the news, but I want to just say a few words about this big disaster in Indonesia. Football-related disaster between Surabaya and Arema. I believe those are the two teams involved. It's happened in the city of Malang in Java. So apparently this was a big derby between two rival teams, and there was a pitch invasion, and the police used tear gas to disperse the situation because fights had broken out, and yeah, it's already going down as one of the worst sports-related disasters, football-related disasters ever. At least 129 dead, and that figure is probably going to increase. That's actually, yeah, it's one of the worst figures ever. Um, this is a breaking story, so as always, I think it would be foolhardy to speculate on what exactly has happened. Apparently there was a stampede, but I mean in terms of pointing fingers of blame, um, to say that there seems to be some factors involved, and I say this cautiously because it is a developing story. Um, Number one, this was a big derby, and there has been some football related trouble in Indonesia before. And in other sports, I recall about 5, 6, 7 years ago, there was a riot at a boxing match in which 10 people died, but this is on a much bigger scale. Um, Apparently, the use of tear gas isn't approved by FIFA as a crowd dispersal method. Um, But who knows what has happened here? Clearly, there's going to have to be an investigation. I think the teams involved have been suspended from future matches for the time being. Um, I just think it's crazy that any level of passion for a sport can no sport is worth human life. Um, I don't care how passionate people are. It's just crazy to me that this can result in a tragedy of over 100 deaths. Um, it's not the first time in football, of course. Going back through history, back in 1964 in Lima, I believe that was the worst, over 300 people killed in a disaster there. I'm not quite sure what the circumstances of that were, if it was a riot or a disaster. And then going through history, of course, in Britain, we've had quite a few. The Bradford Stadium fire in 1985, and of course, Hillsborough in 1989, and then the two Ibrox disasters in 1902 and 1971. Heysel in Belgium, also in the 80s. Ghana, Accra, Ghana, 2001. Um, and more recently in 2012, I believe, in Egypt, there was dozens killed in football riot there. So this is a problem that's been seen around the world, but apparently within Asia, Indonesia has a reputation for these sort of problems. Um, Clearly, there's going to have to be a full investigation, and it's awful. To me, it's just crazy that a sporting event can end in a tragedy like this, ostensibly from human actions. But I'm not going to point fingers and say the supporters were to blame or police were to blame, or there's going to have to be an investigation. Um, but I hope lessons are learned in Indonesian football because this shouldn't happen. Yeah. Just before I close off for tonight, other stories in the news. The Ukrainians are regaining more towns. That's great to see, in my opinion. Um, I saw in one town that were throwing off the Russian flags from the local government building. In Brazil, of course, they're going into big presidential election first round today between Jair Bolsonaro and the former president Lula da Silva. So all eyes on Brazil. Burkina Faso has seen another coup d'etat. Um, and yeah, there is a lot going on in the news right now, but the headlines on both the BBC and CNN were covering this disaster in Indonesia. A few days ago, big disaster in Bangladesh. 61 people died in an overcrowded ferry. Seems to be a common problem in that part of the world, and this is the latest tragedy related to that. But yeah, I think there has to be a full investigation. Both clubs certainly need to play their role in that.